Philadelphia Eagle conversation coming your way. I am Jody McDonald. He's Jeff Kerr in for John McMullen. Oh, but wait, no, John McMullen is right here with us. He's already down at the NovaCare complex getting ready to go inside the building and get ready for another Eagles practice, but he's jumping aboard with us to start the show. Gentlemen, good morning. How is everybody?
Hey, John, are you trying to get in Howie Roseman's office right now? I'm sure you'd love to be a fly on that.
No, I got it because I'm a reporter. I'm en route to the. No, I'm not there. I have to stop at the Wawa parking lot, the old Wawa parking lot stuff.
All right, we'll let you get your coffee in a couple of minutes. But thanks for hopping on early with us. John, we got about 87 questions for you, or at least I did before I went to bed last night, lined up what happened yesterday in practice and what we wanted to talk about today. Oh, and then a tweet came out last night from Chris Trapasso from CBS Sports that talks could be heating up between the Eagles and the Texans, and the Deshaun Watson rumors just refuse to go away. They're probably not going to go away for a year and a half. But according to one viable reporter, they are heating up again. Will you be talking about anything else while you're standing around with your fellow beat mates waiting before practice?
Yeah, we'll be talking about other stuff. I mean, this has been going on for a while. I've been talking about it for a long time. I think people really started to latch on to it when Adam Schefter started talking about it. Look, they're interested. They're going to go after him. It's just a matter of timing. I don't know when that timing is. You know, Jody, from doing the show with me all the time, I ask so many people, is it even fair to Jalen Hurts? What can he do to win this starting job? Because they got their eye on Deshaun Watson. It's all about the timing. You know, Chris is a reputable guy. I mean, Jeff probably knows him better than I, so he can speak to this. But I would think it would be coming from Houston's end, but that's just speculation. From the Eagles' perspective, Houston is desperate to get him out of there, and the NFL isn't giving him an out. They're not putting him on the commissioner's exempt list. So what do? You got to drum up interest, and you got to signal the other teams that are interested, which we've talked about a lot. Are probably the biggest three would be Denver, Miami, Carolina. You got to get them in the mix, and you got to try to build up as much interest as possible. I think it's a really difficult landscape for both sides, though, right now because of the uncertainty. And then you had this Instagram story interview with one of the accusers, a different accusers, not in the original group of accusers, that went into pretty graphic detail. And so you have the public relations aspect of it. But from a football perspective, just a football perspective, this guy's a top 5 talented quarterback. From the Philadelphia Eagles perspective, look, I get the optimism. Jalen Hurts doesn't have that ceiling as a player. Just doesn't. I'm sorry. I tell all the people, do you want me to lie to you or do you want me to tell you the truth? He just doesn't have that ceiling as a player. And then you go into the activism part of it, and should they be bringing in the sort of player that has these types of accusations? Remember, they're accusations. I don't know where we got to this place in life, but it's not a good place where you're deemed guilty by accusations. That's not good. And you saw it happen with Jeff Gladney, who got indicted, and he's released. And, if somebody does try to sign him, much less high-profile player, obviously, but a former first-round pick very recently, he's going to go on the commissioner's exempt list, and the whole process is going to let itself play out. Deshaun Watson, that talent versus tolerance equation is so talented, somebody's going to do it. Are the Eagles in the conversation? Yes, they've been in the conversation for a long time.
Now, John, this is something that I've been following a lot of the Texans practices, and David Culley just seems out of his gourd right now. Every time they ask him about it, he just looks completely clueless. He just puts him on the 4th team, and he was in pads, but he doesn't really practice, or he just throws. Like, what do you make of that?
Well, they don't want him there, and there's nothing they could do because he has to be there because of the CBA rules, and he's not going to take $50,000 of fines per day. As I said, the NFL didn't give the Texans an out. They would have loved if Roger Goodell put him on the commissioner's exempt list, but he didn't want to set that precedent because, again, he has not been indicted. These are all accusations, most of them civil, in a civil variety. It's a bad precedent to set from the league's perspective. So they're acting like it's business as usual, but Houston knows they can't go through with it. So the last thing they want to do is get him hurt, because then you got to pay him his money. He sticks on the shelf. You can't get rid of him. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I think it's coming more from the Texan side of things, trying to drum up interest. But that part of it's just speculation. I did joke the other day, though, that Jeffrey Lurie was on the field after practice with Howie Roseman and Andy Weidel and Nick Sirianni. They were all talking. Everybody's like, what are they talking about? And it was probably, as I said, crab fries from Chickies and Pete's. But who knows? Maybe they were amping up the Deshaun Watson talk. Now, I'm also going to say this, and this is going to upset people. And I'm going to frame it from a Zach Ertz perspective. You know, I was told by someone close to the Eagles that, you know, maybe the thought process with Zach Ertz showing up to camp was, you know, obviously injury, and you create more value from that standpoint. So you're crossing your fingers for injury. But also, you know, a team might get to camp and, you know, see pretty quickly, okay, we're not good enough at tight end. Let's go out, let's up our offer, let's go get Zach Ertz. That's sort of how things work in this league. So we've talked a lot about the Nick Sirianni competition thing. I've been around a lot of NFL coaches, man. First couple days of camp, they know, okay, where's this guy? Is this guy going to help us? This guy's developmental. This guy's not an NFL player. They make those things. They make those decisions quickly. They can find out pretty quickly. Jalen Hurts, we talked about the up and down. I got to believe the Eagles see the same thing we see, and they're saying, this guy's probably not ready to be an NFL starting quarterback, so that might be part of it as well.
John, we discussed this the other day, and I asked you, and I've asked everyone we've had on since the Eagles did what they did, and there is no given answer, but there's healthy speculation. The Eagles redid 2 contracts, and one of which was Derek Barnett's, which made 0 sense because they're just avoidable years. So all they did was like move some money around. It wasn't anything that was necessary this year other than creating cap space. And you're creating cap space for a reason. Well, what would that cap space be? We've been waiting for Zach Ertz to get traded because we knew, that would clear cap space too. They couldn't even wait till after Zach Ertz was traded to clear cap space. And they redid Barnett's deal and Lane Johnson's deal. Could the creation of that cap space be to be able to trade for Deshaun Watson, who's bringing in about a $10 million cap hit this year? It just didn't seem to add up. Usually when a team does something like that at this stage of the year, it's because something is imminent. Something's going to happen and they need the cap space now. Could it be because they wanted to be in a position to snap their fingers and make the Deshaun Watson thing happen?
They certainly did it for flexibility. They understand they were really tight against the cap. And by the way, I think it had more to do with Zach Ertz, and I think it had more to do with Nick Sirianni coming to the moment where Doug Peterson would come to every year and say, oh, my tight ends are better than my receivers, and if Jack's going to be here, I'm going to play him, and I'm going to play him a lot. So the point I'm trying to get to is they needed some flexibility. They know something's going to happen. It might be injury. I said they need a veteran receiver really bad. They could be looking at trying to add somebody there on the trade market. Who knows? They needed some flexibility anyway. Absent of Deshaun Watson. So I think that is more of why they did the things with Lane Johnson and Derek Barnett, hashtag voidable years. I mean, that's how he does. He just puts on the extra years, converts it into a bonus, and he can spread it out, and that creates more cap space for the current season. He knew he needed flexibility to do other things as well. So I'm not. It wasn't about, oh, we're going to go get Deshaun Watson. It was about, we need some plan. I think it's more of an indication that Zach Ertz is going to be here than not. And they understood that financial part of the flexibility maybe isn't coming. Now, there's still a chance they can trade Zach, but I think there's a much larger chance, and it probably grows every day because he's so much better than any of their other options. As far as pass catching and getting the football thrown to him. As every day passes, that option becomes greater, and how he knows he's going to need some versatility, and perhaps he kind of understood, all right, maybe it's not going to come from that.
So we know the Texans would love to get a deal done as soon as possible. But let's take it from the Eagles' perspective. Would the Eagles want to trade for a guy like Deshaun Watson sooner rather than later?
Well, I don't know if the first part of that is true, Jeff, and that's why the second part. I mean, it's difficult from both sides because, look, if you're Houston, you're selling low. I mean, in theory, if you're the Eagles and you wanted to do it with the uncertainty still surrounding him, in theory, you would be buying. You would be getting pennies on the dollar from what he could generate if he had no issues. And it was just, if you go way back to the start of this, it was just, he hates Houston and he's forcing his way out, and he's just hell bent on getting the heck out of there. And it's still a great player, and you have none of the other stuff. I mean, they would have gotten a historic haul for this player. It's gone down certainly, and right now is probably the lowest part of the talent gathering year as far as generating interest, because teams have already budgeted, teams have already made plans, teams don't have a lot of open spaces. Now, if you hold off till next off season, you could build back interest up. There'll be a lot of teams who are coming off bad years who realize, okay, this guy isn't it at the quarterback position. So I think it's difficult from both sides. I mean, Houston wants him out of there, and they kind of, if they're going to trade him now, they're not going to get what they were going to get. I think that's pretty. I can confidently say that. And then if you're the Eagles, obviously, again, you as what the Eagles have the ability that we don't have is they can contact the league office and they can say, what the heck's going on here? Give us at least a broad outline of the potential outcomes. And the NFL might come back and say, look, we have no idea. We literally have no idea because the accusations are so, there's so many of them. They're so ugly from a public relations standpoint. If it becomes a criminal situation, he could be gone for a long time. If it becomes just a civil thing, they'll probably, have a better framework. It might be 6 games, 10 games, 12 games. What the Eagles and anybody else looking to acquire Deshaun Watson is at least some kind of guidance of where this is going to end. I don't know if the league can provide that yet. Maybe they have. Maybe they can. Maybe they know. They're doing their investigation. They have more information than we do. I think I will say, and I said this with Jody earlier, the fact that they didn't put him on the exempt list says a lot. It says, if you read the CBA, it just talks about credible information. Right. And you can put somebody on the commissioner's exempt list. So by definition, if he's not on there, they might not think it's all that credible.
All right, John, let me ask you a hypothetical. And I love my hypotheticals. And this may be dead right on point, or it may be way out in left field. But I'm going to try and make this as creditable as possible. The reason why the league has not put him on the commissioner's exempt list yet is because they haven't had a chance to talk to him. They wanted to talk to him, and rightfully so. Deshaun Watson said, listen, I've got criminal charges pending against me. They're doing a criminal investigation. I've been advised by my lawyer not to speak to anyone about the current situation. And those are his rights. If I was his lawyer, I'd tell him the same exact thing. Sorry, you don't get to talk to Roger Goodell and or his investigator. So the league can only do so much as far as their investigations go. I'm sure they have a pretty good grasp of it, but the key piece, the biggest piece in the middle of the puzzle is talking to Deshaun Watson. They haven't been able to do that. So that's, I think, one of the big reasons why they haven't acted yet. And that's not going to change anytime soon. We don't know how the criminal investigation is going and or what speed it's going at down in Houston. So if the report by Chris Paso is accurate and conversations have ratcheted up a little bit, would the Eagles not only trade for Deshaun Watson, get the deal done at less than what the value should be because there are questions about his availability. They see it as a value acquisition, which they very well could. They get the guy. He comes here to Philadelphia. Would they plug him into the lineup and say, go get him, Deshaun? We understand you kind of got some other stuff on the side that you're dealing with, but go out and win some football games for the Philadelphia Eagles while you're at it. Do you really think they could do that without knowing where this investigation is eventually going to end?
Yeah, I mean, if they acquired him and he's on the commissioner's exempt list, yeah.
No, he's not on the commissioner's exempt list.
No, I mean, that's what I meant. If they acquired him and he's not on the exempt list, yeah, I mean, he's taking first team snaps day one. He's Steve Nelson. He's out there day one. I mean, you probably know, again, they have it kind of baked in if you're going to do that a suspension is likely coming. I think you look at Ezekiel Elliott, and then you sit down. We have no idea what it's going to be. If you sit down for him for 6 games and you have him for 2022, 2023 and beyond. I mean, I think it's about more than 2021. But yeah, if they acquire him, he's the starting quarterback. Period. End of sentence.
What is the response slash blowback from Eagles Nation?
It's tremendous. But Jeffrey Lurie, I wrote about this in Philly Voice a couple of weeks ago. He's been very consistent when it comes to second chances. And it's everything from racism to anti-Semitism to, animal rights. And now we're talking about sexual assault allegations. And I think, and what I wrote, I think people have this sliding scale. And to be honest, that's, I'm not talking to you guys. I'm saying people that do. That's your issue. Morality shouldn't be judged by the best activism group who make that the bigger deal. Jeffrey's been very, very consistent on second chances. And, you look at Deshaun Jackson, for instance, Jeffrey's Jewish. He gave him a second chance after he posted those things. We know Riley Cooper. We know Mike Vick. Now, this is different because, people say it's different because of how many allegations, whatever. However you want to frame it. It's also different because this is a much better player. And I always echo our friend, Andrew Brandt, friend of the show, the talent versus tolerance equation. The greater the talent, the more the tolerance. It's just the way the NFL is. It's not changing. Yeah, I mean, I think Jeffrey Lurie has been pretty consistent that he will offer people second chances. Now, he might request some things. He might request apologies. He might request you work in the community and do some things, but he is willing to give second chances.
Do you think Jalen Hurts is the difference between giving up a first-round pick in the deal, or would Houston want to entertain someone like Jalen Hurts? And I'm just thinking of, maybe the Eagles want to keep this guy around for insurance just in case something does happen with Watson this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that depends on Houston's end of the deal. Do they want him as a quarterback? They have a lot of quarterbacks themselves right now at trying to make their contingency plans for Deshaun Watson. They drafted Davis Mills, for instance. Maybe they like him better as a young quarterback. Maybe they like Jalen better. That's sort of on their personal evaluation. He is a Houston guy, Houston area guy. So maybe that enters into the equation. But then the second part, and I've talked about this with Jody a lot, there's other teams going to be involved here. Just because the Eagles want him doesn't mean they can get him. And one of the things most of the other teams that that will be involved can offer that the Eagles can't is young ascending talent. Everybody talks about the draft picks. Draft picks, yeah, the Eagles are in a good position to offer a lot of draft capital. When you're talking about under 25 players, they're not in a good position compared to other teams. There isn't a lot of top tier talent. Houston wanted Andre Dillard back in the day, but now they have Laramie Tunsil. Why do they want Andre Dillard? So you could throw in a player who could change the whole landscape of the value the Texans could get back. A lot of people talk about Denver and Jerry Jeudy. What are the Eagles going to offer? But that's that part of it. I think people kind of miss and don't put into the equation.
All right, John, let's, believe it or not, put Deshaun Watson aside for at least a couple minutes because we only got a couple minutes with you left before you got to get off to Eagles practice. Yesterday, Nick Sirianni, not afraid to blow the whistle, get out there on the middle of the field, do some hands-on correcting of certain individuals, including Jalen Reagor, who's had this very much a stop and start to his preseason with the loss that he had of his friend and not being able to pass his physical tests and join the team. Didn't stop Sirianni from going out and kind of getting in his grill a little bit about making a mistake on a route. I just want your overview on the way Nick Sirianni is looked at by the 90 men that are there. He's trying to be both the energetic, upbeat, positive guy, but also not afraid to be the bad cop and step in and call a guy on the carpet when he's doing stuff wrong. How is he working the room? And I know it's a very big room, the practice field that they've got down there at the Nova Camp Complex. How is the way Nick Sirianni's doing his business going over with his roster?
Yeah, it's interesting. And that's one of the things I'm going to try to ask Nick this morning when he talks before practice, because, yeah, he went after Jalen Reagor yesterday. I mean, he went after him. We were standing right next to the speakers, and anybody who's been to an Eagles practice, they have these huge speakers blaring music. And when you're in front of them, that thing is loud. And Jay-Z was on at the time. And you couldn't hear anything except Nick Sirianni screaming at Jalen Reagor. I mean, he was loud and getting after him. So I kind of want to hear that answer as far as coaching style, because everybody's different. We always talk about 90 different personalities, the old kick in the pants versus the pat on the back. Some people need a pat on the back. Some people need a kick in the pants. And is he different? Does he do that to everybody? Because, Jalen Reagor's got to be an important part of this team. And the last thing you want to do is lose Jalen Reagor. And I got to tell you, the first week, it has not been good. And you could say the off the field stuff, but that was not the first time. I think that was part of the issue. He's making the same mistakes day after day, and I think that's why Nick blew up on him. But you risk losing a player if you do it in a public setting like that, especially a young player. And Jalen doesn't seem to be in the best place right now because of the off the field stuff. So, yeah, that's one of the questions I want to ask Nick and try to get his thought process behind that. But he's certainly not afraid to call people out. So some people will look at that as a very good thing.
You had me laugh with the Travis Fulgham comments yesterday when I tweeted about, people are sleeping on the Eagles wide receiver group, and you said about the REM sleep. Do you want to further elaborate on how bad it's been?
Yeah, it's a deep, deep sleep. We're all. Hey, I just talked. The coaching staff has come to grips with the reality here, and that's that if Zach Ertz is going to be here, Zach Ertz is going to play, and we're going to see a lot of 12 personnel, and we're going to see a lot of 2 tight ends on the field at the same time. It's not necessarily what they wanted to do. I mean, they're just not good enough. They're just not good enough. And it just, puts a spotlight on it when Devontae Smith is not out there. I mean, he makes things a little bit better. And you say, okay, as Jalen and I would say Travis Fulgham would be the number 2 receiver now. And Jalen is bumped down to number 3 because of his slow start. I don't think that's going to scare opposing defensive coordinators. I'll put it nicely like that. And the bottom line is you can't you can't even talk to your locker room and try to spin like, well, we want to play this way. That's why Zach's not playing. I mean, he's so much better than those guys. And he's being a professional. Yes, the shorts are turned inside out. It's a little bit of a silent protest. But he's going to be a professional if he's here, and he's still a good football player. But when Jody was talking about that financial flexibility, I don't think it's just about Deshaun Watson. In fact, I think, one of the main things they know they have to do at some point is add some kind of veteran presence to that wide receiver room because it's just not good enough.
All right, John, I know you're heading in there and you're going to get a chance to talk to coach before practice starts. Is it 6-0 defense so far? Today, day 7 of practice. Is it going to be 7-0 defense over offense? I'm sorry, you've got a better grasp on the scoreboard as of right now. How is Coach Sirianni's offense versus defense evaluation going?
Yeah, he'll get asked again. He'll be pissed off about it, but it's hey.
Well, hold on. Let me interrupt. No one knew about this. He had to bring it up. So now he's pissed off because you guys are referencing an inside joke that he let you in on? Really?
Yeah, Lane did it. So Lane's probably in trouble.
Oh, Lane did. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize to Coach. I thought it was Coach let the cat out of the bag.
No, Lane let it out of the bag. Lane just says what he wants. Yeah, Lane just says what he wants. Yeah, I tried to give an offense the win the other day, but he didn't do it. So I mean, yeah, I don't think they've won a day. There were 2 days I would say that were close. Maybe the other day he gave to him. He said he doesn't remember. I don't think it's that serious. I just think he grades each play and he says 27-24 defense. I don't think it's as important as people are making it out to be. But yeah, the defense has certainly been ahead of the offense. And, I think if people want to get excited about that defense. I think Jonathan Gannon is doing some wonderful things. I think, man, that defensive line is really deep and talented. That the secondary is much better than we thought they were going to be. Because of Steve Nelson's presence, and even Zach McPherson has had a great camp. Linebackers are still a work in progress, but even that, I mean, before Davion Taylor got hurt, and that was, I feel bad for him. I thought he was on track to having a real opportunity to win a starting job next to Eric Wilson. And we'll see how this injury hurts him because he's a thoroughbred. He needs his legs. Because his whole game is predicated on speed. But that group has been good as a whole. You just hope they haven't been good as a whole because of who they're playing against every day. So when we see him, we'll have a better indication and kind of measure them against the rest of the league.
As a whole, though, are you concerned about this offense?
Yeah, I don't know how you can't be. I mean, Miles Sanders is still dropping the football. pretty consistently, except on the sidelines. He catches everything. But when he gets on the field, the drops show up. The wide receivers and the tight ends have been good. The offensive line is good, but they're never out there. Now they're being very cautious with that offensive line. I think how he's playing there is just, look, let's get these guys to week one healthy. So I'm not really concerned about veteran days or maintenance days or those guys not getting reps. If they're there, they'll be good. So I think you gotta, and they have. And by the way, Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni have said, it's about the offensive line. I mean, that's what they're building this offense on.
All right, John, last thing, and then we'll let you go in and get your coffee. The only bad thing about having you here on the phone and with the frozen shot of you is we don't get to see your trappings, your outfit. What are you wearing to practice today?
Just normal golf shirts and shorts. It's going to be about 85 today. Going to be. We've gotten lucky with the weather. It's been pretty cool. Yesterday was really nice. I think that's about the end now. I think we're going to hit pretty hard moving forward.
A little bit of a hot streak. You'll earn your paycheck. You always do with us, J-Mac. We will talk to you again tomorrow morning. Thanks, brother.
All right. Thanks, guys.
John McMullen, usual co-host of this show. Jeff Kerr doing a hell of a job filling in for him. With me, Jody Mack. We are Birds 365. There's a couple more things I want to put out there about Deshaun Watson and the entire situation. In case you're just tuning in, Chris Trapasso, one of JK's compatriots with CBS Sports, tweeted out last night that the talks are progressing between the Eagles and the Texans for a potential Deshaun Watson trade. What does that mean? Well, Jeff and I will come back and kick it around a little bit more. Working on a guest for hour number 2, but we got plenty of time to continue to talking about the Philadelphia Eagles right here on Birds 365.
Today's show on the JAKIB Media channel. Listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.